first graders, Mrs. Tyson here. We're going to go over our standard for today. Happy Monday. So our standard for today is RL 1.1. What does that mean? It's ask and answer questions about key details in a text. So last week we played I wonder and I learned. This week we're going to be asking questions in the text. So remember, put your reading brains on. You need to ask before, during, and after when you read a text. So the questions that we're going to ask today are, you ready? Who is in the story? Say it with me. Who is in the story? So we're going to be reading a new story today. And the first question is, who is in the story? Next question, where is the story taking place? Say it with me. Where is the story taking place? Good. And the last question we're going to ask is, what happened in the story? So what happened to the characters in the story? Awesome. So those are our 3 questions we're going to ask ourselves while we read. Let's get started. Okay, so before we start reading, remember our target is to ask and answer questions in the story while we read. So we're going to be using the key details from the text from our 3 questions we asked before we got started. Our story today is called Fluffy Plants a Jelly Bean. Do you like jelly beans? Me too. I like the grape jelly beans, the purple jelly beans the best. So we're going to be looking at who is in the story first. Read along, and I want you to read along with your eyes as I read to you. Have some sunflower seeds, Fluffy, said Wade. Fluffy dove into his bowl. He started cracking the shells and eating the seeds. Yum, thought Fluffy. So here's Fluffy. That's a who in the story. What kind of animal is Fluffy? Good, he's a hamster. Sunflower seeds stuck to Fluffy's face. They stuck to his ears. They stuck to his paws and to his fur. But he did not mind the mess. I love sunflower seeds, thought Fluffy. So who is in the story? Fluffy the hamster and Wade. Here's Wade. Let's see who else is in the story. Emma picked Fluffy up. She put him in a basket and took him outside. We are having an egg hunt, she said. You can hunt eggs with us. Yes, thought Fluffy. I am a good hunter. So whenever the author puts these words in bold, that means Fluffy's talking or he's thinking inside of his head. So who else do we meet in the story? Good, we met a girl named Emma. So now there's Emma, Wade, and Fluffy. Now, let me read the next page to you. Here's a yellow egg, said Wade. He put it in his basket. Here's one with blue stripes, said Emma. She put her basket down and reached under a bush to get the egg. Time to go hunting, thought Fluffy. He jumped out of the basket. So Fluffy thinks it's time to go hunting. Good. Now we answered another question in our story. Remember, we were looking for where is the story taking place? So where did Emma and Wade take Fluffy? That's right. They took him outside. Let's keep reading on to find the events in the story. Fluffy thought he saw a bright green egg. He picked it up. He put it into the basket. That's not an egg, Fluffy, said Emma. That's a jelly bean. A bean, thought Fluffy. I love beans. Fluffy thought back to last spring. Mrs. Day's class has planted a garden. The kids planted beans. Big bean plants grew from the beans. Lots of little beans grew from the plants. So what do you think Fluffy is going to do with his bean? That has to do with the events in the story. Wow, you are so good at inferencing. So you think he's going to plant that bean because he thought back to the garden. Let's see what happens. Are you ready? Awesome. Now spring had come again. Now Fluffy had a bright green bean. I will grow a bean plant, he thought. Good job, boys and girls. Your inference was correct. Fluffy ran over to the class garden. The soil had been turned over, but nothing had been planted yet. Fluffy dug a little hole. He dropped the bright green bean into the hole and covered it with dirt. You planted now, Bean, thought Fluffy. So he took that jelly bean and he planted it. Let's see what happens next. Now, this is our last page, so we're gonna see what happens last in the story. Fluffy planted a jelly bean, said Wade. Fluffy, said Emma, that won't grow. Yes, it will, thought Fluffy. It is a bean. Beans grow into bean plants. I know my bean will grow. So boys and girls, let's think back to the story. Who is in the story? I want you to shout it out at me. Good. Give yourself a pat on the back. Emma, Wade, and Fluffy the hamster. Let's look at our next question. Where is the story taking place? Yay! Give yourself a silent cheer. You're correct. It took place outside. Now, what were Emma, Wade, and Fluffy doing outside? That's right. They found a jelly bean. They were hunting, right? And Fluffy found a green jelly bean. What did Fluffy do with the jelly bean? That's right. He planted it. Did Emma and Wade think that the jelly bean could grow? No. They thought that Fluffy was silly because he planted that jelly bean. So what I want you to do, and that's actually what happened in the story. What I want you to do is I want you to retell the events to an adult or a sibling from the story, what happened to Fluffy in the story. And I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to make a T-chart. Say T-chart with me, T-chart. And it's called a T-chart because it looks like a T. I want you to write characters on one side and setting on the other. And boys and girls, what I want you to do after that is draw me a picture of who is in the story and draw me a picture of where the story was taking place. So you have 3 things you have to do. Let's review. Draw who is in the story, where the story is taking place, and retell what happened in the story. So on Wednesday, we're going to still be reading about Fluffy, but something else is going to happen to Fluffy, and I can't wait for you to read with me on Wednesday. Have a happy Monday. Bye for now.